It's mostly science and fiction. Mostly.
Holy smoking seed pods, Girl with All the Gifts was a pretty good film, and in this video I will explain what the shit happened in case you were left wondering. If you are after a review, check out the video linked in the description, or at the end of this video I might link one, as me and a mate, we get stuck right into that movie. This video will be an unbiased breakdown of the events that took place in the film. Also, I will be talking strictly movie, not the book that the film was adapted from, as I have not read it. Yeah! So these zombies are the fungus based, like that fungus that infects ants and turns them into puppets so they can piggyback a ride to the perfect area to release spores. You know, the zombie ant fungus. Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, or just cordyceps, has been the inspiration for a few zombie things such as The Last of Us, and I presume this movie The Girl with All the Gifts as well. Here is the life cycle of the fungus/zombie in this movie. Spores from the fungus get breathed in and turns the human into flesh-eating zombies known as hungries. This is how the fungus spreads, just like, you know, usual zombie stuff, bites, scratches, shit like that. Once the hosts are infected and all bitey, they are drawn together. They gather in groups. After a bit, the fungus sprouts from their eyes and mouths and shit and forms a superstructure, kind of like a big old viney tree. The fungus tree grows big old sea pods and waits for something to trigger them. A fire or a flood does the trick. Thus the pods burst open and spores spread, turning humans who breathe them into zombies and starting the cycle all over again. When an uninfected human breathes in the spores or has the spores transferred via a bite from an infected, they spaz the fuck out and turn into a hungry, a brain-dead, fungus-filled, flesh-feeding zombie. But what then is Melanie, the main star of this film? She seems to be like, half-infected? What? Melanie, well, she's a fucking zombie, a flippin' fungus face, but is somewhat in control. This is because she is a fungus-human hybrid. We learn that when a pregnant human is infected, the babies only kind of get half infected and form some kind of symbiosis with the fungus. They also apparently eat their way out of the mothers. This is creepy as fuck, but when they said that in the film, I was like, babies don't have teeth. But anyway, it makes for a scary story. Also, I presume the mothers are zombies as well, so it's like a zombie sort of bursting out from another zombie. So Melanie and all these kids, they still retain some of their humanity, but when they smell meat like human skin or dogs and cats and rats and shit, I guess they get overwhelmed by the craving and turn feral. This is why the soldiers are using cream to hide their scent. This is to stop the feral cravings, or at least stop the scent from turning them feral. So after we learned this, we assume the movie starts about 10 years after the outbreak or so. I didn't catch the age of the kids, but seeing as they had to be in the womb when infected, we know the world has been zombied up for at least however many years old the kids are. The kids are being educated as you would normal kids, though not under normal circumstances. And this chick, Dr. Caroline Cardwell, is experimenting on them to try to find a cure for the fungus zombie disease thing. Probably not a cure, probably an immunity, I'd say. Wrong words there. Anyway, whatever. She's trying to fix shit, man. Fucking hell. Her experimenting on kids is pretty dark, but at the same time, can you blame her? I mean, the whole world is fucked, and as we later learn, once the fungus tree explodes, all the spores, the virus will become very, very airborne, and as Dr. Caroline Cardwell herself says, it will be the end of the world. Like, you know, it's not already the end, I guess. Anyway, zombies break in and fuck everything up, and Melanie, Dr. Caroline, her surrogate mothery teachery lady, Helen, and the gang, they make a break for it. After killing some hungries, we meet a bunch of gross feral kids. Now these kids are just like the kids back on the base, the only difference being that they were not captive and thus not educated. You see, the kids on the base were, I guess, captured young or at different stages, or maybe even born in a lab, and were thus educated from birth or from a very young age. The kids with the white paint have presumably been running around wild since eating their way out of the mothers, so they have never been to school, never had parents, never had adults showing them or telling them what to do. They just run around eating cats and rats and shit, and they kind of constructed their own feral hierarchy. This to me was the most interesting part of the movie. Kinda Lord of the Flies styles. Like if you left a bunch of babies in the wild and provided they won't immediately die, which you know they would, what would happen as they grow older? Super smart animals like humans have always been raised by elders, but these gross little cunts have not. So I guess they formed a pack and set traps and things and just sort of they're left to their instincts. Then Melanie comes along, and with her special mind and her education, she manages to become the pack leader. But more on that in a bit. So let's skip ahead. Reveal, death, bang bang, zombie dead, everyone else dead, big reveal, and then character reveal. Dr. Caroline says Melanie's brain and spine hold the cure. She needs them to create a cure or a vaccine. If she cuts her open and rips out her shit, she can synthesize this vaccination. Now this is where it gets interesting. The whole time everyone in the movie, especially Dr. Caroline, is convinced that once the fungus takes over the human, the brain is more or less dead. The human is dead. There is no more human, just a manipulation of the host. Just like OoOOOOOh unilateralis, Melanie and the kids are just at more advanced stages. In other words, Melanie is not a human, her words are not her own, it is the fungus talking through her, the fungus controlling her to trick people so it can reproduce. So this is what everyone kind of thinks. However, at this stage in the film, Melanie asks Dr. Karasmek if she still believes this. Dr. Karakant says, not anymore. In other words, she is convinced the host and the fungus are working symbiotically and Melanie is in fact still all there. Melanie then says, well, why should we die for you? And BAM! She runs off to infect the world. She sets fire to the spores so that all remaining humans on the planet will turn into fungus humans and a new generation of human-fungus hybrids can rule the world. So why does she do this, man? Why kill everyone? Well, a lifetime of abuse, detention, lack of love, and lack of Netflix will probably make you a bit bitter towards those who did that to you, to those who put you in that situation. Not to mention that she still has the fungus in her brain, so maybe it's persuading her decisions a little bit. She locks the only person who was kind to her in a hermetically sealed room, and this prevents Helen from getting infected from the airborne spores that Melanie released. We then see Melanie gathering their children around so that Helen can continue to teach them, thus ushering in a new generation of fungus people. Some of the kids from the army base were there too, and some of the ferals have joined the pack. Melanie was smart enough to know that we all still need to go to school and that Helen needs to stay inside the building, but she can teach the kids from the building. The Earth, it seems, will be inherited by a new generation, a new type of human, a fungus-human hybrid, a fungman. A few questions remain. Like, is this a local or worldwide phenomenon? What will happen when the kids grow up? Can they bang and make new fungmans? Will the babies eat their way out of the womb, or will they give birth like normal humans? What is everyone going to eat? Do they still need to eat vegetables, or is meat just good enough? Will they turn into fungus trees when they grow up? Will other tribes try to fight them? Can any of them do a kickflip? So many questions. But I like that about the film. There's no need for a sequel really, we're just left with good old-fashioned pondering. The end. Check out my shitty podcast if you want, or watch one of these other amazing videos. Or check out my band. We make music. Or try to do a kickflip. Or do none of the above. I'm not OoOOOOOh unilateralis. I can't control you, so go be free. Do what makes you happy, man.